Someone once asked me, "What's the most important ministry in the church?" As a children's pastor, I quickly responded with, "Children's ministries," but I meant it. Even if I was a youth pastor or an executive pastor, I would still say children's ministries has the biggest impact on the church of today and tomorrow. I know that because I've witnessed it. I could tell you story after story of lives that were changed because of a church's passion to reach children and their families. To keep things short, I'm only going to tell you one story that shaped how I minister to children. When I was in the 4th grade, my mother started a small discipleship group at the county children's home. What started with just a small group of girls on Tuesday nights grew to a much larger group that included all the children living there. I don't remember names, but I do remember some faces and some stories. One little girl told my mother that she had heard about church. She said there was an old lady in her neighborhood that always invited her to go to church with her, but her mother never let her go. One day, the old lady came over and she brought her a purse kind of like this. She said in the purse were little things that most girls take to church, and that one day she'd be able to go to church and take that purse with her. She also told my mother that her parents fought a lot, and there were times she was so scared she would go and hide in her closet. She started taking that little purse with her, though, and it would make her feel better. Fast forward a couple of years, and there was a change in the administration at the county home, and we weren't allowed to go back. My mother was devastated, and I was too. Who was going to continue to teach those children about Jesus? How were they ever going to get through the doors of a church? Several years later, my mom was shopping at a grocery store she usually didn't shop at, getting a couple of things for dinner. The young lady checking her out said, "You look so familiar." And then it hit her. She said, "You're that church lady. I'm that little girl at the county home that had the purse." She told my mother that she never got to go back home. She lived there until she was 18. And with a smile on her face, she said, "The first thing I did when I got out was I went to church." She said as she walked through the doors of the church, she got that same feeling she did hiding in her closet with that little purse. She knew now that it was the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit had given her peace and had been with her the whole time. I still tear up a little bit when I tell that story about how God used something as little as a purse and an old lady to reach a child. My mother and I played just a small role in that continuing story, a story of peace and a story of prevenient grace. I want you to think about all that God did to reach that little girl. A little girl who would never come through the doors of your church. And yet we have children just like that little girl in our churches every week. Each one of them has a story. Each one of them is special to God. I often feel like we take for granted the little ones in our flock. We don't always see the importance of them being in our worship services or the impact the church could have on their lives. So I have to ask, how many children do you have at your church? Do you know their names? Do you know their stories? God does. Maybe you don't have any children at your church. Where are they at on Sunday mornings? Are they waiting for you to invite them? Children today, they need to know more than ever that they are loved and accepted. They need to know that the Holy Spirit can give them peace. They need churches and communities of believers to hit a pause on their busy lives and look around for them. Who do you see? What child in your life needs you to step out of your comfort zone and connect with them? What child in your neighborhood or on your street needs an invitation to church from you and a special little gift to know that they are loved? The children in our communities need us to see them the way Jesus does. Remember, he said, "Let the little children come to me," or we need to bring him to them. Thank you.